Welcome into Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Nic Rohloff. We're doing a Dolphins Today mailbag from our Thursday live show. On this episode, just 24 hours away, less than 24 hours away, Week 6 Chargers-Dolphins action. Let's start the questions off with Brett McIntyre, $5 Super Chat. Appreciate you. How about we just wear the rival jersey from now on? Anything to change our luck. Listen, stats are the only thing that don't lie. Women lie, men lie, stats don't lie. Listen to these stats. Dolphins record in 2025 wearing their standard white or aqua jerseys. 0-4. Jerseys in rivalry jerseys record 1-0. Not going to happen. You're only allowed to wear them once or twice a year. To James with the question, could Chris Grier have blackmail on the organization? I've seen this speculated on Dolphins Twitter. About how with the Brian Flores lawsuit hanging over the heads of the NFL and potentially Dolphins, it's not finalized yet. This is something that I think is blown out of proportion. First of all, if they really did have blackmail on him, if you fired Chris Grier and he did whatever blackmail the Dolphins had, the Dolphins could just then sue him for retaliation for being fired. You can't do that if you're Chris Grier. So I don't think that's a real thing. But when you actually look at the lawsuit with Brian Flores, the lawsuit, I'm pretty sure, and if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, but the last I saw on it is that he's alleging that the Dolphins offered him money to lose games, and he didn't even take the money. So I don't know what that would have to do with anything in the organization. I don't know. Either way, I don't think he is blackmailing. I don't think he is blackmailing. I just think Stephen Ross likes the guy and doesn't want to fire him. I mentioned it. We'll be live for NFL Week 6 action. Dolphins, Chargers in the 3:05. We will be live at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time for Week 6. Subscribe, join us, and if you see this thumbnail, that means we are live. So click on it and join me and producer. Cool. Don Soto, who could you see as a new owner if Ross sells the team? Hypothetical. Well, I can't give you a specific name because I don't know. I'm just going to have to take the assumption it's a Saudi. Because that's who offered him $10 billion a couple years ago for the company or the organization. So we know that there was I forget the name that offered him $10 billion. He declined because he wants to keep it in the family. So his daughter, Jennifer Ross, is the most likely succession plan. And I think that's kind of been floated out there in the past. And Ross even might have brought that up to the NFL saying, hey, if I need a succession plan, God forbid, Jennifer Ross is who I want to go to. So I think your next owner is going to be another Ross, but it's going to be Stephen Ross's daughter, Jennifer. Shark Bite with a question. Why do they get pressure on the QB why do they not get pressure on the QB with all the good edge rushers? I got news for you, Shark Bite. I don't think they're any good. Listen, I thought they were good. We all thought they were good. We all thought this was the strength of this football team. But the only edge rusher that has put up good numbers has been Jalen Phillips. Bradley Chubb, despite having 3.5 sacks, has not really generated a lot of pressures. He doesn't have a high pass rush win rate, but Jalen Phillips does. Can we actually flash Jalen Phillips' stats from this season so far? Through the first 5 weeks of the year, PFF has given him a 75.2 pass rush grade, highest amongst Dolphins edges, and he's had 16 pressures and that 17.7% pass rush win rate. He has been good. But Chopper Robinson has been non-existent because he's not been on the field that often. And Bradley Chubb, who has dominated the snap counts, simply has not been providing the pressure production you would like. Yes, he has 3.5 sacks, but he hasn't been getting the pressures on opposing quarterbacks at this point right now. So you also aren't getting a lot of help from your interior. Zach Sealer has been non-existent. Kenneth Grant's been abysmal. So you're getting no pressure from the interior. And Bradley Chubb isn't really giving you a lot. The only person that's consistently getting pressure on the quarterback is Jalen Phillips. The other three, not so much. That is why our pass rush has not been any good. Do you want the Dolphins to lose on Sunday? I think this is a fair question to ask. Because some fans want the Dolphins to lose to get a higher draft pick and a better draft pick. And some people want the Dolphins to lose because it pushes Miami closer to firing Mike McDaniel. I think it's a legit question that I want to see be answered. Be honest. Don't lie. You want them to win or lose against the Chargers on Sunday. W for win or L for lose. Ryan with a question. Say McDaniel is fired after Sunday and Weaver is head coach. Who should call plays, Bobby Slowick or Frank Smith? Well, I think ideally it would be Frank Smith. I could also see it being Darren Bevel. I'll throw a different name out there. I know Bobby Slowick has called plays in the past, obviously joined this Dolphins offensive staff this offseason after being fired or mutually parted ways with, if you want, with the Houston Texans after a couple of seasons there with C.J. Stroud. And I know Slowick has experience, but so does Darrell Bevel. Darrell Bevel has experience. He is the QB coach. I actually think it would be more likely to be Darrell Bevel than any of those two. The more I think about it, yeah, you would imagine the offensive coordinator, Frank Smith, does, but Frank Smith's job is more or less to help install the game plan from a week-to-week basis with Mike McDaniel, and then McDaniel draws the plays up. If McDaniel was gone, I think Frank Smith and Darrell Bevel would come up with the offensive game plan together on a week-to-week basis, and then Bevel would call the plays as the QB coach because he has the ear of Tua Tagovailoa. So I think I would answer that question with Darrell Bevel rather than Bobby Slowick and Frank Smith. Invader Crusaders, do you think we should trade for another fast wide receiver due to Tyreek Hill being out? I will bypass this trade. Miami's wide receiver room maybe isn't as good as I hoped it to be after the Tyreek Hill injury, but I still think it's serviceable. I mean, Waddle looked terrific against the Panthers. Malik Washington will certainly, I think, get better as the year goes on, more reps potentially. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has been non-existent so far this year, but you hope to get him more involved. You don't expect a ton from D. Eskridge, Taz Washington, or Cedric Wilson, but you're getting a lot from Darren Waller early on here. So with Darren Waller's continued emergence in the passing game, and then not many three wide receiver sets, you'll see Waddle on the field with Westbrook-Ikhine, and then Waller and Julian Hill. You'll see Waddle and Malik and Westbrook-Ikhine with Darren Waller. There's so many different personnel and formations the Dolphins can and will use. I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think burning future draft capital to get a wide receiver to play, it doesn't make sense. Wide receiver is on the bottom of your issues with this football team, and there's no need to waste assets going at another one. This Dolphins Today mailbag is brought to you by Ethos. Have you or a friend experienced loss, which has you thinking about how to secure your family's financial future? With life insurance through Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is a perfect way to make sure you're covered. Right now, you can get a free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There's no complicated process, and it's 100% online, no medical exam required. Just answer a few health questions, and you're set. Some policies as low as $2 a day billed monthly. And as March of 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Protect your families with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Rob, when are they going to give Ewers a shot? Answer is never. And as much as producer Coop wants to, and he's shaking his head behind the camera, Texas fan, that is why, it just isn't going to happen this season. And when I say never, I should have rephrased that. It's not going to happen this year. Maybe in the future sometime, sure. But unless Tua gets hurt, which is possible for sure, it's going to be him starting just based off that contract every single game, no matter how over this season may be. And if he does get hurt, they're still going to go with the veteran Zach Wilson because they're paying him potentially up to $10 million this season. $6 million worth up to 10. That is a starter type of contract as a backup, where it's you get paid that to be the starter if the starting quarterback goes hurt. And so maybe if Wilson were to get hurt and Tua gets hurt, well, then Ewers is your quarterback, right? Sure. I just don't see it. And I don't think it would be smart because with Ewers, he needs to develop. He needs to work on his mechanics, his footwork, his decision-making, his processing. We saw flashes in the preseason. Flashes are good, flashes are bad. So we need to have him develop more in practice. And if you throw him out there against a NFL starting defense behind this offensive line and without Tyreek Hill, he's going to struggle. I don't think it's a good thing for his career long term to get him out there. I don't think it's good for Miami to do that. Not saying he could never be a starter in the NFL because you never know. But this season, no Quinn Ewers. Another reminder, folks, make sure you subscribe. Nobody does it better than us here on YouTube covering the Dolphins. 2 videos a day, 3 live shows a week. Game day, like we teased earlier in the episode, Thursday lives, and Monday lives after games as well. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe today. Laser, should the Dolphins draft LaNorris Sellers or Garrett Nussmeier or someone else? Well, Laser, it will all depend on where the Dolphins are drafting. Right now, they hold the 4th overall pick entering Week 6. If they're picking 4th overall, there's a chance they go quarterback. I would probably put a higher percent chance they do go QB than not because they're just picking inside the top 5. Sellers will certainly be an option. LaNorris Sellers is my QB1 right now. I've said it. Plays very similarly to Ben Roethlisberger, to his size and stature. He's 6'4". He's built like a truck. He's like 240. He's extremely mobile. He can take a hit and bounce back from it. He's got a cannon of an arm. There's a lot that needs to be worked on in terms of his processing, his mechanics to be more accurate, but the physical traits are elite. So he's my number 1 guy. My number 2 guy is Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. 6'5", rocket of an arm, mobile. Questions about the offense he plays in, heavy RPO style. Nussmeier came into this draft as arguably the top guy because they labeled him as the most pro-ready. Can command an offense, accurate, good decision maker. That LSU offense has not been good this year. And with him taking a step back, it's a little bit concerning. I'll say this. We'll have to see how the rest of the collegiate season plays out, Laser. But if the Dolphins were picking 4th overall, that means they're likely picking 34, 35, 36, 37th overall in the second round. That second round pick, 36, 37, I'd be intrigued with Nussmeier. I'd be intrigued with a John Mateer. But if you're going to take a quarterback in the top 5 where Miami's currently picking, I'm thinking Sellers, I'm thinking Mendoza, and that's really the end of the list. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks right now I would consider in that range. Everybody else is late first round, early second round pick at best. Josiah James, should we just take an O-line and D-lineman in the first round until we have a solid O-line before getting a new quarterback? Listen, every GM and head coach is different. We'll hopefully have a new regime picking this upcoming April. But everybody wants to build a different way. Obviously, Miami needs to improve the offensive line. They've actually been fine in pass protection if you look at the advanced analytics, but it's also because Tua is able to get the ball out of his hands so quickly. Jonas Savionaya has been horrific in pass protection, and so is Larry Borom and Cole Strange. But Aaron Brewer and Patrick Paul have been absolutely money. Paul looks like a franchise left tackle. You absolutely do need to shore up that offensive line and defensive line. But if you feel like you can draft a franchise-level quarterback that is a starter in the NFL for 10-plus years, and you believe in your developmental system and your scheme, then you take the quarterback, just due to the positional value. So if the new head coach, new GM, feels very good about a Mendoza or Sellers in the top 5 and says, you know what, I know we got issues at O-line, but I feel good about these young quarterbacks and I want one of them in my organization, then draft him. Because if you take an O-lineman and he's a Pro Bowl O-lineman, we'll love it. But what if those QBs that you bypass become all-pro MVP level QBs? Well, then Dolphins fans are going to clown this organization for not taking the quarterback. So if you feel good about the QB, take one. But if you don't, go with the best player available. That'll do it for this mailbag. Appreciate everybody for asking their questions and hanging out with us on Thursdays live. If you didn't get on the mailbag and want to ask a question, follow me on Twitter, DM me, reply to my tweets. All available there at Nic_Rohloff.